Hello again, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the AJ Roberts Show. Today we've got my good friend Darren Emmerson joining us from Spaniola. I wanted to get Daz on the show. Daz recently attended the retreat in Portugal with me and a number of other people, and we had such great conversation. And one of the key things that we were talking about is like the awakening in people, like what wakes people up, but also like the awakening process within men and men reclaiming their warrior aspects in themselves because men have been hit hard and over centuries. You know, it's all by design, all through social engineering. And Daz has a fantastic story of his own awakening, literally from returning from the death, which he'll explain about, into the fantastic human being he is now, and a fellow galactic brother. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, AJ. Thanks for having me.
Daz, for the benefit of the viewers and the listeners, would you like to just give a bit of a brief background about yourself and kind of like how you went through what you went through and where you are today?
Yeah, so um, basic background, grew up in the northeast of England in the 70s when life was tough and you just got on with it, um, which was great, to be honest. I think it definitely gives you a good grounding in life, reality. Age 16, left the northeast to join the Royal Navy. So I went all the way, took the 8-hour train down to Plymouth. I'd never been further than Scotland in my life before, never been anywhere away from my family. So yeah, 16 and a half, 2 weeks out of school, went down there, spent 6 years in the Royal Navy, 3 of those years on HMS Andromeda, which we know has a bit of a connection with us all at the minute, Andromeda and things like that. So again, no coincidences.
Yeah.
Went out the Gulf 3 times when Iran and Iraq were fighting. And the Royal Navy was tasked there with the US Navy as well to basically goalkeep and protect the oil tankers to make sure all the oil could go to the Western world. So again, we know what it was about. And yeah, stayed there for the precursor to the Gulf War. So I did 3 tours out there. In a nutshell, joined as a boy, left there as a man. Definitely the age 16 to 22, very formative years for any young man. The key point to throw in, while I was in the Royal Navy, and it was 3 weeks before I was 21, I was told, I was summoned into an officer's mess and basically got asked, were you close to your mum? Out of the blue. This is 9:30 on a Thursday morning. And I said, yeah, I'm very close. Oh, well, your mum's just been killed this morning. My mum was hit by a car. She was a nurse and she used to work in an old people's home, and she used to do the shift where people would pass away, people that didn't have any family. And she used to sit with them through the night. And yeah, the very next morning, she basically had to cross a very busy main road. Crossed and overtaken was a car doing 70 miles an hour. So that hit her. 3 weeks before I was 21, she was 42. And that was a massive fracture in my life. That's the bit that I decided, right, I'm leaving the Royal Navy. I've done my bit for Queen and country. So yeah, we'll see what Civvy Street is about. It took me quite a while to get over that, to be honest. I don't think you ever get over it, losing your mum. Your mum's your mum. But to come to terms with it. So yeah, that was, I talk about a fracture. I think fractures are things where something happens and it's, whether it's, it's previously written, it's always going to happen. You're going to go one way or the other. So yeah, that was a big thing for me. That kind of woke me up to a lot of things. What happens when people die, because I felt my mum's presence ever since.
Amazing.
So yeah, left the Royal Navy, then went to Jersey because I'd been going to Jersey on leave, weekend leave, playing some rugby, playing some football, doing things like that. And it was just like, it was in the days of Bergerac. So me coming from the northeast, grey, cold and damp, Jersey was paradise. There was palm trees, there was beaches, and it was just perfect. And I landed there and I was like, this is actually easy, because the competition that I was up against, if it was competition to go for jobs, were the Jersey lads that had not been anywhere or not done anything. It's absolutely fine. But because I had this CV and I'm 22 years old, it was, what job do you want? So I did really well in Jersey, did really well. After a couple of years, I'd met a girlfriend who went backpacking around the world for 12 months. That was fantastic. We didn't work. We saved up really hard before we went, and that was a real eye-opener. spent some time in India, had some quite mystical experiences. But like any psychic experiences you had earlier on in your life, you weren't too sure what they were. They were great, but you kind of have them and then you move on, you get back to the 3D reality and things like that. But it's then when you look back, you go, they were quite formative. That's what that meant. That's what that meant. So yeah, and that really opened my mind, traveling around the world. Went back to Jersey, and then we had a couple of kids. So I've got 2 daughters. They're 26 and 22 now. So yeah, fast forward, having lived in Jersey, working in the finance industry. I wasn't a banker. I was working in data. But yeah, I was in that whole establishment thing. I see it, you see what goes on, you see what reality is. There's no money there. There's nothing. It's a big game.
Big illusion.
Yeah, it's a big illusion. But the big thing that happened to me is during lockdown. So obviously when all that happened, you know, within your gut, you're going, it just doesn't add up, none of this. And to be honest, it kind of triggered the lockdown thing of getting your freedom taken away from you. It triggered PTSD in me that I didn't even know I'd had. So I went to see a GP, and basically what it was having your freedom taken away. It took me straight back to being out the Gulf, where you would do action stations for 3 to 6 weeks. And what that is 6 hours on, 6 hours off. And, you know, you're in a war zone. There's drama, there's all sorts of things going on, and you don't know what's happening, basically. And it's that lack of freedom that you know, AJ, from when we've been in the forces, we do what we're told to do. And you just don't question it. But then when you're in Civvy Street, you're like, no one has the power over me to tell me what to do. So I found it quite difficult. I went to the GP, and he said, wanted to put me on a load of medication, the usual stuff. So yeah, during that 2020, it was quite a dark time for a lot of people. I also, very unexpectedly, my dog, who was basically my son. I used to call him my son. I've got 2 daughters and I had 1 son. My dog Blue, he went downhill really quickly, and had to put him down, which kind of broke my heart. 6 weeks later, I woke up one morning and I thought I had really bad indigestion, and something wasn't right. Something within my gut was saying, no, this isn't right. And it was coming in waves of like 10 out of 10 pain. So I was doubled up over the bed, like crying. I was like, and something was like, you don't need to be a tough guy. You need to go to hospital now. So I went to hospital, and it was the COVID time. So it's like, where's your mask? I went, just let me in, please. So I went in. As soon as you mentioned chest, and this area here, they took me into A&E. And because there's a history of heart issues in my family, my dad's had a couple of heart attacks. My parental grandparents both died of heart attacks, basically. So they did some tests on me, and they said, look, everything's fine. You've walked in here, but we'll observe you. So they did the test on troponin levels, which checks your heart. Cut a long story short, 2 hours later, I'm sitting in the bed in an A&E bay, and I'm just looking out, and it's almost as if a screensaver came across. My vision just went white really slowly, and I went off, and it went, and I knew I was dead. I just knew that was it. That was death. It took about a second. It was very, very bizarre, but it was really, really clear to me. Cut a long story short, subsequently they told me in the hospital I'd flatlined. So they came over, running over to me, and did the CPR. The CPR wasn't working, or the chest compression, sorry. So they defibrillated me, and I came back first time. But then I was unconscious for another 25 minutes. So I obviously didn't know any of this, but so I've had the screensaver. The next thing is I wake up, and I'm in the recovery room with loads of people running around me, and I'm laid on a bed, and it reminded me of remember the Roadrunner, the cartoons, where you used to get a steamroller and run the Wile E. Coyote over. It's exactly what it felt like. I felt like I'd been run over by a steamroller. I was just laid there. I had nothing in me. It was like my whole body was deflated. And I remember saying to this doctor, what happened? And they said, look, we're trying to keep you alive, Darren. You've had a widowmaker heart attack. We've never seen anybody walk into the hospital with a widowmaker. You should have died in your bedroom. That's basically it. Somebody is looking over you. That's exactly what the words he said. He goes, and I said, yeah, I know it is. It's my mum. So I believe my intuition and my gut is related to my mum. And she was saying, get down the hospital now. So then, because they said, you've had damage to your heart, basically it was a widowmaker, and it's your main artery in your heart, your left anterior descending. There was a blood clot in it, and it's blocked, and then it stops your heart completely. They said there's minimal damage on your heart, but we need to get a stent in there. Now, they don't do stents in Jersey, so that to do an emergency flight to take me to John Radcliffe in Oxford, but there was no flights. So they basically put me in ICU, well, HDU, high dependency unit for the evening. That's my dog, mate.
Brilliant.
Hang about. Just interrupted that. I can't believe that.
He just wants to say hello, mate.
Yeah. But anyhow, so yeah, they flew me to Oxford the next day with a crash team. It was all quite hairy, but it's all quite surreal. But I just felt very, very glad to be alive. So many questions. Spent 3 days in Oxford, and that's when reality hit me. And also all of the things, my awakening basically occurred. I had so many flashbacks. So basically I had the near-death experience, and it all came flooding back, everything that had happened. Yeah, and it changed me completely, just changed me completely. I remember sitting in there in the hospital, in John Radcliffe, just in a room on my own. And I started saying something about, oh, we need to get back to work and you need to do this. And I just turned around to myself and to my brain, I went, and you can shut up. I'm listening to my heart and my gut from now on. I'm never going to listen to you again. It was quite profound to me. But while I'm in there in Oxford, I started getting the flashbacks of things that had happened. So during my near-death experience, I definitely experienced family members being there. I was in a hospital room, and there was opaque glass, and I knew deceased family members were there behind the glass. I'm looking around the room because I'm an orb on the ceiling. I'm not a body, but I'm still me. I'm not Darren, the outer shell. I'm the source within me. And I see me sitting on a bed in the clothes that I'm in hospital with, but I'm like a little boy. And the hospital bed is huge and my feet are dangling and I'm crying. And then in front of me, there's a doctor pointing in a white coat and really shouting at me. So I zoomed into what was happening. I was the doctor. And basically, I'm giving myself the biggest bollocking in my life. And the words are along the lines of, what do you think you're effing playing at? You need to start living life for you.
Mm-hmm.
We've took you out. This is an upgrade. You're going to be very, very different now, but you need to start living your life for you. This is your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shown various things that I'd done in my life that had been quite good, where you'd help other people and you don't think anything of it. It's just your nature. And had a kind of life review. And it was along the lines of, this is where you've done good. You've upset this person here. So it's just all there. It's very hard to explain. There's no talking or anything. It's just there. It's just straight into your head, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or whether you're recapturing memories, there's different ways to try and understand it, because it's all there. It's all there. But
it's like a review of your Akashic records, isn't it? Like before your eyes, and then this is what you need. This is what you need to review. This is what you need to address.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the thing is as well, AJ, is there's no doubt. There's no doubt when you have these things, it's very, very real. I then, so it changed me profoundly, absolutely changed me profoundly. I don't think I wasn't an evil person. I wasn't a bad person or anything, but I was probably just focusing on the wrong things, focusing on materiality and playing the game. You have the house, you've got the kids, it's possessions and things like that. You're sitting down, you're watching your TV. Anyhow, all of that just became very, very false. So I then went back to Jersey and started to rebuild my life. And things changed drastically, but there was a thought in my head, always was there as Spain. It's just been it's in my head. I'm like, okay. So I remember going home and watching A Place in the Sun, New Lives in the Sun, all these
Yeah,
people,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, it was something that was in me because people talk about having the dream of going moving to a warm country and getting out of all of this, but it was just a drive in me. It was like, this is what I'm going to do. So I did as much research as I could. Yeah, and that was basically what happened. I was just driven. So 12 months later, I'm then in Spain. But within those 12 months, I used a lot of discernment. There was a lot of things of, you become very aware of energy and frequency, all the magic stuff, all the stuff that people talk about. I just believe it all. I know it's real. There's just no doubt in it. So then you start living your life a different way, smiling and accepting things and going,
Mm.
right, okay, I can't control that. So it's only my response. So it's all the things that everybody says. But I think I just had a massive, massive shock. Basically, friends had said to me, yeah, your heart blew up. That's what's happened. Your heart has blew up and you've been given downloads and upgrades and you're a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I fully believe it. There's a lot you can't explain. But yeah, so a lot of people left my life. That was mutually. There was people, you realize there's a lot of energy vampires.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, you have conversations and you're thinking, we've had this conversation so many times. It's actually you that doesn't want to change. So
Just
actually, maybe this,
karmic loops, isn't it?
yeah, that's exactly what it is. So you're thinking there, well, hang about, I need to protect myself now because I believe that I'm draining my energy and you're taking my good energy. And I'm walking away and I'm actually really frustrated about we're not moving on or you're not moving on. You're saying the same things. So those people just disappeared. They just went completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Cut a long story short, I'm now in Spain. Me and my dog. I'm living in a place called Manilva. Man alive.
Yeah, I love that.
I was always meant to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I can see the Med from where I am. Within 2 minutes, we're in the sea, and I've created something absolutely beautiful. I don't work now, so yeah, I retired young, um, very creative. Do a lot of playing my guitar now and singing and all the stuff that I used to do and
mm.
painting. Do a lot of painting, a lot of stuff out in nature. So I have my meditation practice now. All stuff just getting in touch and just slowing it right down. There's nothing in my life that I don't have control over. It's yeah, it's a very empowering thing, but it's a very strange thing as well, AJ, because basically you wake up in the morning and you've got to fill your own day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's right, okay, and having been used to working from age 16, basically for 35 years, producing output, producing something for somebody else, basically harvesting your energy out to other people to do things for everybody else.
Mm.
Whether it's working in the military, working in finance, you're just doing stuff for other people.
Mm.
But now it's like, okay, what do you want to do today?
Mm.
And some days, to be honest, I just sit in the garden and just relax.
Mm.
Then other days we'll go out and we'll do some things, we'll go visit different places, but it's all out in nature and fresh air
Mm.
and just with a real gratitude and blessing for life.
Mm.
It's life is magic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, man. Love that. Just you mentioned there about playing your guitar. Obviously, we were fortunate to listen to some of your tunes on Spotify and on the rooftop in Portugal, which is under the stars, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'll put the link to your album actually in the show notes so people can
Oh, cheers.
tune into it. That's really impressive. And yeah, I think it was such a great it was so great to listen to all of this like in person in Portugal. And it's just like for me, one of the big things I've been really trying to hammer home over the last like probably 6 to 12 months is just how negatively men have been suppressed over like aeons, like longer than we have. Men have been put into these like positions of authority, on purpose. It's all socially engineered. So whether it's within royals, mostly royals, obviously governments have always been very male dominant. The working industry male dominant, and it's all even people's perception of God is like this big overarching like dude with a beard over the planet, like a puppeteering
Yeah.
everything, right? So but as a result of that, we've been completely what they flipped the script that from bringing in feminism stuff like that, and then through mind control techniques using TV, radio, like sport, all of it. have made the man to feel kind of like inferior, don't speak their truth. They live their life in the base, the lower three chakras. So everything's just about pulling a wage, beer, football, like the odd occasional shag, and like and rinse and repeat. Do you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
literally like how men have kind of been nudged in towards, through these through behavioral science. And it's all been carefully like engineered as we can all see it. Whereas like now, more men are starting to come out of that shell. They're starting to experience the spiritual side of them. But also, what the big thing for me and the big message I'm trying to get across is like, you've experienced this, like you went through that like near death experience where you've been shown your life review. And I guarantee you, everyone listening to this would like just picture what your life review would look like. And
yeah,
actually, if someone was there showing you your life review and actually say, like, you'll take a step back and you'll realize, what the am I doing?
yeah,
Because everything you've been privy to and witnessed and experienced, there's just been multiple programs since birth up until this point. So it's a case now of really breaking free from these programs, like unplugging from that 3D matrix that they've plugged you into, um, and understand you're like this like super powerful divine being. And now is about reclaiming that warrior aspect of yourself, reclaiming that protector, reclaiming that alpha male, not being scared to speak your truth, not being scared to stand up for yourself and for the collective, and like I shared a video on Twitter the other day of the whole group of fans at the Man City Real Madrid game, and there was this young lad stood up and he's doing all this like sexual innuendo signs, like doing all this, and I'm like, you're all fellow humans. It's just a big group of men, and I'm like, I guarantee you, this same group of men were like the ones that queued up for the shots and this, that, and the other. They weren't out there protecting the men, the women, the children, while the governments were, waging war on us all. And everything is designed, if you haven't worked out already, to get to the kids, everything. um
yeah,
so it's like we need to get you can see how they use football to divide people, to cause that anger, to harvest that loose energy in the stadiums, like all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that like men should give up football. What I'm saying is like flip the script on like what it's for. Actually use it as a opportunity to bring communities together of like-minded people. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And like the sport for what it is, take the money aspect out of it, take the greed aspect out of it, take the spending half a week's wages on the piss before you even get to the game, to then you know scream and shout another man's name, and then abuse at people who
yeah,
don't even care about you. You know what I mean? So it's like reclaiming all those aspects of yourself that how we should be presenting ourselves as that strong male,
yeah,
and speaking your truth and living your life with purpose. And it's what I love as well. You keep saying about like just having no doubt about anything. You know what I mean? You just know now. Everything's about knowing, and stuff like that. And in our plant medicine ceremony we did in Portugal, we all had our own fantastic experiences in that. But like I took my notebook in, and I just
yeah,
ended up just writing loads of pages. It was literally my higher self telling me to write the stuff. And the last page I wrote was, if you can see that, no doubt, only purpose.
yeah,
And it's just like so it's so fitting that we talk about this kind of stuff now. And it's great that your story is so resonant with like so many males out there. I know not every male's like died and come back, but what I'm saying is this is why I want to do these podcasts, is just show people this kind of stages of awakening within a person. And it's all based on our experiences, good and bad, and our ability to be able to unplug from programs, or being given the second chance to, what I
yeah,
mean? And that's what I think we really need to concentrate on now, is like showing people just like what awakening feels like and what it actually is, so that they understand that they don't need to sit in these karmic loops all the time, these repetitive conversations. That's why I've like totally gone the opposite direction from so many people I serve with, because even if I guarantee I see them now, they just reflect on old stories and like old things that happened in the army. Like there's no follow on from that. So
yeah,
this is what's happening now. We're breaking down these karmic cycles, aren't we? And we need to allow it to happen, because we're all coming to the end of these cycles in our life, aren't we? That just need to end. Um,
yeah.
Otherwise, the same shit is just going to repeat itself to you over and over and over again.
I think you get to a stage, AJ. So I did. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what an awakening is.
Mm.
And I think to me, looking back on how I was, and I think a lot of it is in your gut. How does it feel? So I don't watch the media. I just don't engage with it anymore at all. So I don't watch the news, because I was watching it when the COVID thing was on, and you just sit there and you think all the death figures, and you're just sitting there and you're going, hang about, this is gaslighting. And when you feel it, and when you know it deep inside, that's what you've got to trust.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's too many things. People, or from what I gather, I think people just accept things. Oh, well, that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's watch it again. And it's like, no, you're right. It is just a big program. The bottom line is part of an awakening, I think, is, does this feel right? Does my discernment or something in me is telling me that this isn't adding up? So the easiest thing when stuff isn't adding up, if that was an individual and you're in your life and you're going, hang about, I think you're just lying to me, you would probably not have that individual in your life anymore. So I think the easiest thing when you're having these doubts is just stop watching that. Mm-hmm. Stop subscribing to it and just sit with yourself. The other thing, part of an awakening as well, and I think this is what might worry a lot of people, you do have to do some time on your own. That doesn't mean you have to do what I do, like be on your own for 3 years. You don't have to do anything to that extreme. That's something that I've chosen to do for the past 3 years. And I'm now ready to integrate with the rest of the world with what I know. But it just means that when people talk about meditation and when people talk about nature, I think a lot of men think these are like, oh, that's quite feminine. That's not for me. No. It's as simple as just going for a walk on a beach barefoot. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do all of these techniques. And if you want to meditate, you don't have to sit there in the lotus position and doing all this and that. What it means is just closing your eyes and just sitting there and relaxing and just listen to the sounds of nature. And don't worry if there's thoughts coming in. By continually doing that, you will get to a place where you go, all right, I feel quite at peace. Once people start doing those things, you can then go, all right, okay, I'm going to start living for me now. Because this will be a natural thing that will come up inside you. I think a lot of it, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what awakening is. I think people think they're going to get a bolt of lightning and they're going to go, boom, yeah, I get it all now. No, what it is just realizing, hang about, this doesn't add up. There's more to this life than this. Mm-hmm. Surely there's more than just working, paying taxes, retiring, and then dying a year later. And then anything you've earned just goes to everybody else. Yeah. And then the government will take their tax off that. Look, I know people need to work. You've got to, I think you've just got to understand, hang about, do I need this big house? Do I need this big car? Do I need to work all these hours? Do I need to do all of this and all of that? And there's going to be people that don't want to change that, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm sure there's people listening to this now or watching this and going, yeah, that kind of resonates with me. I've kind of had enough of it all. Mm-hmm. It's just realizing you control this life. You're the controller of this life. Nobody else. Nobody has authority over you. Nobody. Just because they're wearing a uniform or they're wearing a crown, they're no better than you. They all got the toilet the same as you. It's as simple as that. Nobody is better than anybody, and the same as you're not better than anybody, and you're not worse than anyone. I think that's all it is. I think it's just people just need to get rid of the labels and all the mess that's around them and go, what am I? What am I? Why am I really here? I think they're just the key questions for people to ask.
Yeah, it's turning the lens inwards, and it's the recognition of that I am. That's what people don't do, because everything's been made external on purpose. You're always looking external for the answers. I know so many blokes that can't think for themselves now. It's again all by design. They need somebody to tell them what to do, to step forward, to do this, do that. To be able to pick up a hammer and put a bloody picture up. It's just everyone's been so programmed and distracted, all on purpose. So absolutely, it's about turning the lens inwards, and I talk about it a lot, because that's where all the answers and all the keys to your entire universe live inside of you. So just as you were saying, Daz, about meditation, that you don't need to be some guru sat on the edge of a cliff with crystals on your head, with a big K staff and that, or that pretty cool. But you don't need to be any of that person. You can literally, I do walking meditations. I do purposeful, intentional, like meditations. I do lying, like floating in water meditations. Like, I mean, there's like a million stuff you could do, but it's just all about centering yourself and then unlocking all the keys and the codes that you've already got inside you. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Because I always joke, like, obviously we're both ex-military, we always laugh and say, can you imagine being in the mess on a Friday night? You're like, hey lads, I'm gonna sack it early tonight, like planning a big meditation in the morning. Like no one will take you seriously and just
Yeah.
think it's woo-woo, right? But it's like, again, that's because the spirituality is taken out of everything within the military. Same with the police.
Yeah.
I've had enough interactions with these people to like see it in their faces that it's just all of it's removed. So we've kind of unplugged at the right time. However,
Yeah.
I only have to look at the DMs I'm getting now, like from actually serving people and veterans that have really like exploded into the spiritual aspects of themselves. They're unplugging from all those programs, and they're understanding that like deep down at the very depths, like, and I kind of refer to it as similar to like the training you have in the military. You have different phases of training, so we're all our basic training here on Earth. We're all here as a pillar of light
Yeah.
initially. Like that is that's our basic training, right? That's us, just like a trained soldier. You're a soldier first, but so we're a pillar of light first. Then after that is when we get all our training. So it's like our specialist training. Do you know what I mean? So like your phase two, and
Yeah.
that's when you go on to be the military, or you go into the medicine industry, or you to go and do whatever. But you're actually like taking your light round with you everywhere. So you're still kind of soldiering everywhere you go your entire life,
Yeah.
just in different specialities and different roles. Whereas like now, this is where what I like to call the special forces training is now taking place. So it's that like elite level, but it doesn't mean you're elite or above or below anybody. It means you've stepped into your divine powers, um, just like you get proper special forces training, those extra abilities. And that's what we're experiencing now. People are really stepping forward into those roles as part of this awakening process, and they're understanding that, like, they're really connecting with the I am, the self aspect,
Yeah.
and they're living their life from that aspect. So then their reality is also reflecting that as well.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Like you said, living your life from your heart. I think
Mm,
that's the key thing, because your discernment is going to come. You're going to go, right, so these things aren't adding up, or that doesn't add up. But like you say as well, though, AJ, it's like the first step, signing up, is just that awakening. And the way
mm,
the awakening is going, hang about, something isn't right here.
mm,
Something just isn't adding up. It's just too much.
mm-hmm.
And whether it's a thing that comes with age. So the thing is, that, the older you get, you're like, it's the same with fashion and it's the same with politics. You're like, oh, it's just cycles. We've been through this before. We've seen all of this before. And that's awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Just realizing it's all just a game. It's all just a movie.
Yep.
It's so that's awakening. And now the next step is going, right, okay, so if all the answers are in me, that's when you trust your gut. That's when you trust your intuition. And that's when you do that meditation. Like you say, it doesn't have to be anything super special, but you've got to spend that time with yourself. And the more time you do spend with yourself, the ultimate thing is you'll go, all right, okay, yeah, I am enough. Yeah, no one does have power over me. No, I'm going to use my intuition. I'm going to use my divine knowledge on this, which we've all got.
Mm,
And then, like you say, whether you go to the next level, the thing to call out is that there's a lot of rabbit holes that people can go down.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's just discernment. It's also just for you. Okay, so what sits right with me? You can go through all sorts of things. You get on the internet and you can really go down a hole, and you can go, okay, right, okay, and just get too much into things. I think the key thing is to just go, right, there's lots going on. Accept that you've been lied to in your life. Accept that from a military perspective, there's always been a war. You see it, it's there, it's advertised, isn't it? The same
Yeah.
companies that are providing the money for the weapons are providing the money, and they've already got the contract to rebuild the place. Now, they did that in Iraq, they've done it in Afghan, they're doing it in Ukraine, they're going to do it down there in Gaza, and it's, hang on. So that means that we know we're sending people to their deaths unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even just that little thing sitting there, and this is from two military guys that have been in those situations. Hang on, we were played, weren't we? Of course you were played. You've always been played. It's what it always is. Now, the thing is, that doesn't mean you have to get angry. And so, maybe some people will, but just going about, there's a realization of that. Okay, so if you sit with that, your gut is going to tell you, yeah, you're absolutely right. you were just a pawn. Guy, you know, AJ, people that are in the military aren't guys from rich areas. They're the
No.
guys that, you know, that pretty much might be heading on a pretty negative path. You know, might end up in prison, some guys, or might end up doing this. And the military saves people.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's always taken from working class areas.
Yeah.
They're always working class lads and the posh guys are the Ruperts, the officers.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
how it always is. You know, so it's once you see that, you just see that model as well. It's just repeated and repeated and repeated again. Why is it like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's created on purpose, and it's that pyramid, you know, top heavy style. But it's not just the military; it's the same in the police, it's the same in the corporate world, it's the same in everywhere, and it's across the Western world. It's designed by that, so you're always looking up, and then you're doing what you feel you need to do so outside of your authentic self to get to the next level, the next level, next level. You know, it's like in the military. You know that people end up. I actually feel sorry for people. Like I don't actually judge people for it. Like we call them like schneckers who like suck up to the bosses and stuff like that. But a lot of people like almost like forced to do it because otherwise they won't get promoted. But it's the system that actually creates that. Do you know what I mean? It's not actually the people.
yeah,
So then again, everything's always outside of your authentic self, and that's what I found. Like if you're being your authentic self within a whole environment of people who aren't, they kind of tend to then look in on you as like some threat. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then when you've got lots of testosterone and ego flying about, it's a recipe for, you know, lots of arguments and falling outs and things like that. And then, you know, that's why I got the reaction I did from like more so from military people, ex-military in 2020, 2021, and the abuse and, you know, even death threats. Like I got,
yeah,
you know, I even had a WhatsApp group made about me. Like it was crazy. And I just posted a little clip actually of my stories on Instagram of like Jon Snow pulling his sword out on one of those end scenes in the Game of
yeah.
Thrones.
Sorry, mate.
He stood there like that, like of all
Yeah,
this enemy running at him, he's on his own. And I said that literally was how I felt so strongly in 2020, 2021.
yeah,
But again, it's just like I trusted my gut, I trusted my intuition. I just knew that this was all like a load of BS, and I
yeah,
needed to show people and take the income in um a lot along the whole journey. Like so it's almost like it's almost like I got an upgrade of armor to be able to, you know, to deflect that and just keep going and keep going and keep going and
yeah,
still doing podcast here today, you know, off the back of that. So again, like that wasn't necessarily like part of my like awakening, although it's a big gradual like upgrade, you know, and like the spiritual side has definitely like skyrocketed like since 2020, you know, and leaving the military and that. But like for me, like being in those theaters, and that's why it's funny how we call them when you're in theater. It's
yeah,
literally all theater.
yeah,
You're seeing these false flags with your own eyes. You're seeing there's no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You're seeing that, you know, we're just protecting the poppy fields in Afghanistan, which are owned by the CIA. And you know what I mean? And, you know, I think I was in Afghan in 2011, 2012, and it's like, it was a 10-year anniversary of 9/11. And I'm like, at any one time, there's probably about 1 million NATO troops in this country. Like, why is it taking a decade to find a guy on a donkey? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, just you're asking all these questions, like why you're actually there. So again, and I'm sure there's like a lot of guys and girls watching this who, you know, resonate with that massively because the amount of veterans now I speak to that are just like, we just got completely shafted, we're completely lied to, we're used as guinea pigs. I speak to openly about the fact that my sort of awakening to any vaccines was like, literally felt like I was going to die from the anthrax shots prior to going to Iraq. So I was like,
yeah,
how is this normal? I'm seeing other people going man down from it. I'm like, how is this normal? So that made me research like all back then. And that was the last ever shot I ever had in my life in 2003.
yeah,
And I refused to have any more. Like, and that's so I already had that stance on things prior to 2020. But again, it's people like ourselves and millions of others out there that needed to have this kind of level of awareness and everything leading into it, because otherwise, if everybody was programmed the same, we'd all be like queuing up for like number 8, 9, or 10 or whatever we're on now. You know what I mean? And we'd just be full of AI and like robots.
yeah. No, it's definitely it's that discernment in you, isn't it?
Mm.
You know, it's that understanding that, and when you see it, so there was a big thing many years ago about Gulf War syndrome. You know, the people that went out there, you just use as guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's when you look at these things, okay, so that was a Gulf War syndrome. You know, you've had the thalidomide, you've had all the things that are coming out about COVID, and it's like people are, you're going to sit there and you're either going to go, something isn't adding up here. And if that is within you, that's your soul. That's something inside you going, come on, come on, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you then have to be anti everything. It doesn't, you can still live your life normally, but it's just that understanding of going, no, that doesn't ring true with me. So I'm not even going to go down that route. That's
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally what an awakening is.
Yeah,
it's just taking your own power back.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you are going to get people that they have all the dreams and visions and things like that. And that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. But for a lot of people, it might just be, turn that TV off. I'm just not going to do this anymore. You're awake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what? That's when you can look around. That's when you can go through your back catalogue of stuff, AJ. There's other people out there, and just go, see what resonates with me. Some people might go, do you know what? I quite fancy Buddhism, or something like that. Or I just fancy going for walks in nature. That's sometimes all it will take.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just having the understanding and going, no one has control over you, nobody at all.
Yeah, it's quiet in the mind and taking your thoughts back, because that's what everything, predominantly it's a battle for your mind. So it's about reclaiming that sovereignty, reclaiming your sovereignty and those aspects of yourself that have been, and also are dormant actually in your DNA. So once you start unlocking all these like different codes and everything within you, you see all these aspects just flourish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see the gifts start coming through in people, and I've got the pleasure of like obviously doing these live events and seeing the experiences people are having and things that are being activated in people, and it's like the best thing ever. So like my attention's now turned from watching all the football games on TV, where I don't watch any football at all, because I'm not saying I hate the sport, I don't, but like I'm using my time completely differently now, because I'm doing podcasts about this kind of stuff. I'm doing lots of content about stuff that's helping the collective, because I'm seeing people's power, magic, like the magic in people come out, beyond all the layers, beyond all the veils and programs and that. And I'm like, so I'm concentrating on living my role, and that doesn't involve having all my time taken up with watching the television. So it's even things like that, like just flipping the script on how you utilize your time, and then you start doing more creative things, because all the indoctrination at school and the corporate lifestyle and everything is just completely all left brain, and that's where the egotistic aspect comes out. It's where the materialism comes out. That's why UK is the way it is. It's all about material items and ego, and obviously that all comes from school. So that's why so many people struggle in school, because you're not, nothing's creative. There's no, you know what I mean? There's no creativity there. There's no enlightenment. There's no any of it. It's just all flood the head with repetitive information, egotistical information, material information, market the crap out of everyone. And then what are you left with? You're just left with like communities of people that just want to get shit faced all the time. So it's a case of just breaking that mold, and getting into there's so much out there that will literally excite the pants off you that you haven't even explored yet. So when you start going, breaking down all these programs, see all these people in the communities, like 70-year-olds that are just like, they're learning about Tartaria history, and they're like about our wider universe and like our role in it and like our powers and all this stuff, and they're just like excited little kids all over again. It's like a huge rebirth for people, and it's absolutely magical watching it, like, I must admit.
Yeah, definitely. That's a word I'd use, magic. So one of the things that I've done recently with this year is I've always been interested in psychic phenomena. Like a lot of people, is looking back through your life, there's moments that unexplained. Why did that happen? Or did I really see this, or whatever? So one of the things as part of that I did after I died was I then went back to all the moments, the inexplicable moments, like deja vu moments. Things that you may have thought, oh, well, that was just in the past. But another thing that's really clear to me is it's very easy to access previous memories, because it's also a part of whether you call it a dark night of the soul, and it's just greater understanding of yourself. Okay, so why do I do this? Why is that part of my behavior? Is it actually serving me? So you look back, and I found it quite easy to go back to moments in childhood where you go, all right, so that's why I feel the way that I do. And you're then able to go, so is it serving me moving forward in the new me? And it's quite easy to shed things, because it's like you say, fundamentally what we are is we're programs where thoughts, and a lot of the thoughts and a lot of the ideas that we have come from other people, come from school, come from seeing other people. But what I've done now is I undertook this psychic training course because I've always really been interested in it. Anyone can do it. Everybody has the ability. And that's another thing as well. I suppose when people talk about psychic and awakening and things like that, it's all in mumbo jumbo stuff. No, it's not. It's all reality.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I did is, it was only like a 8-week Zoom course, 2 hours on a Monday evening. There's people from all over the world, and it was with the College of Psychic Studies. It's legitimate, and it was great. And it really took me back to when you were a kid, when you were a young child, like 4 or 5 or 6. And you just spoke your truth, you know, and you'd fly around and you were an aeroplane, you know, you'd go on all fours and you were a dog, all your imagination, and you didn't worry about other people. You didn't worry about what other people thought. But what happens is we all get older, and then we're bothered about other people's opinions. And then suddenly you're not you. But doing the psychic stuff, it really took me back to being a child. And fundamentally what it is you mentioned it earlier on, you just talk from your higher self. You just talk from you. Just talk with no ego and no wanting anything for yourself, and you tap into it and you just talk, but you just don't think about talking. And it's going back to that childlike state.
Yeah.
Where you just talk, you don't worry, do you? Or what are they going to think of me saying this? Mm-hmm. No, it's magic. Yeah, that's great to get to that. And the other thing as well, AJ, what you do is you realize that, okay, so when people talk about the universe and when people talk about magic and this and that, I'll give you a prime example. So I've been in Spain a couple of weeks, and obviously a lot of things had changed. No longer working, sold my house, a long-term relationship I was in had broken down. So I'm in Spain on my own, just me and my dog. And I stood in the garden one night and I just said, universe, or whatever it is, just give me a sign that I've done the right thing. Because I know I've left my previous life behind and I'm now here on my own. Just give me a sign. And that same evening, I wanted to put some of my own pictures up because I'm an artist and I draw stuff, and I wanted to put them up. So I wanted to take some of the pictures down that were on the wall in the house. I'm renting a place in Man Alive, Manilva. And I opened the drawer to put the ladies' pictures in, put them out of the way. And I'll just share my screen, AJ, and I'll just show you this is what happened. So I'd asked the universe for a sign. And hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Where did that go? Yeah. So
just for the people who are listening to the podcast, Daz has shown us a picture of a drawer that's opened, and it's got a small piece of paper in it.
Yeah. So I wanted to open this drawer to put the belongings of the lady that lived in the house, put some pictures in there. And I looked at it and I saw what it was. Straight away, I'd asked for the sign. So there's a piece of paper in a drawer, 16/11/20. 16/11/20. That's the exact day that my heart stopped. That's the exact day that I died.
And that's a tattoo on your arm.
That's a tattoo on my arm. So we've got it there.
Wow.
Now the thing is, I asked for this.
Do you think A is alive?
Yeah, alive. It could be. Yeah, absolutely. That's what my youngest daughter said. Yeah, that's it. It's alive. That's exactly what. In fact, both my girls said that. Yeah, it means alive, Dad. But I asked for this, so I'll stop sharing my screen. Now the thing is, people might look at that and go, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, it could." There's this. This is the answer. That's absolutely fine. I know what that is. That's a sign from the universe or from some higher power or whatever. God, not in the image of God sitting on a cloud, but God is something that we're all connected to, source, or however you want to call it. Something is said. So that was always in the drawer here. I was always meant to find that. I was
You've
always,
you've already put it there, because we've
yeah,
already gone.
absolutely.
You've already
I
gone
was,
forward and put it there. Like, and it's literally because our higher self is our future self.
yeah, that's exactly it. So of all the places, of all the houses in Spain, I'm in this house. It was a house that I was always meant to be in because I've been in here before. And like you say, I put that in there before, previous life or however it's been done. Yeah. So of all the numbers in the world, it has that 6 number combination of the day that I died, and absolutely everything changed. So
Mm.
yeah, that's a sign of magic for me. And that's something I went on a near death experience group in on Facebook, and I was reluctant to post it, but I posted it on there, and the feedback that I got from there was like, wow. There wasn't one person going, "Oh yeah, well that's just pure coincidence," because it's not coincidence.
No.
You can look at it and go, "It's not coincidence." There's the chances of that happening after I ask for it and it's got the date is infinite, and that's when you start going into magic. That's where maths is going. Actually, we haven't got an answer for it, so
Hmm.
there's an infinite chance of that happening. It's yeah, and once you start seeing things like that, I remember when I saw that, I actually physically jumped. And my heart was like, yeah, okay, so thank you. I've done the right thing. You get a lot of things like that as well. You know, simply just walking down the beach, um, asking to see a heart-shaped stone. And I've got some stones here that are just ridiculously perfect heart-shaped stones. Um,
Mm.
yes, it's just living in that realm, and it's just living in that magic state, that state of being childlike again.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a key mixture of having that reclaiming that inner child, which gets taken out of us through like the indoctrination process and the repetitive learning and being told to only speak when spoken to and put your hand up to the toilet. It's just all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah,
That all gets knocked out of us. So by the time we're adults, we're just full of fear and confusion. So yeah, you're absolutely reclaiming all of that. But also like your ability to be able to discern things, what's ring true to you or not, that resonance, like very quickly. And then when you do that, your universe is reflected by the things you then experience. So you're experiencing all the signs. So, you only have to look at things like angel numbers and that people are seeing like on mass now
yeah,
and making a connection to it. Like that's your universe showing you that you're on the right path. So
yeah,
think of the thought you had before then, or what you did before you saw those angel numbers, and all the signs and that are there for us. But they're individual signs. So like I've had a plethora of experiences over the last like 3 years, especially. I remember one particular incident when I was doing I did a talk in Swansea in April 2022, and I stayed in a hotel overnight, and then the next day, I got stuck in a lift. I've never got stuck in a lift in my life. And I'm just like, I had to prise the door open, like, and climb out over the ledge. Like, my breakfast took forever to cook. And I was just like, and I was hardly anyone in there. I was like, how long does it take to get some food in this place? Well, I'm like one of the 8 people in there. Then it took me 17 minutes to get out of the car park. Like, the barrier wouldn't lift up. And I'd paid for the ticket. I was like, right, something is trying to keep me here in Swansea. Like, what the hell is it? Like, what is
yeah.
it? And then I finally drive off, and it was about 20 minutes before I got back to Salisbury. The lady who at the venue who I did my talk at in Swansea messaged me and went, "Please tell me you're still in Swansea." And I was like, "Why? What's up?" And she said, "You've left your laptop here." And like in the actual back room that I was using for the projector. And
Yeah.
then I was like, "Oh my God, no!" And it had all my slides on it for doing a show that night live in an arena with Matt Letizia. Had all my slides on it for that. So I had to get home. I had like an hour to quickly like make like bluff these slides and I still did the show and everything. And I was like, by the time I'd done the show, I was absolutely wiped. So I was just like, it was literally showing me that, like, check your stuff, check your stuff, check your stuff.
Yeah.
So that was my first like real big like experience where I was like, oh my God, the universe is literally working for me here. And then since then, it's just been, well, it's like a daily occurrence. But it just goes to show you that when you've broken free from all these programs and stuff like that, and you're tapped into your universe, it literally works with you. But then
Yeah.
that's why we then experience in different realities, and that's why I'm focusing a lot of the content now on showing people that we're all going through these reality shifts. So, your version of like chemtrails, for example, and all the fear that people are put into it is very different to mine, because from what I'm seeing and my understanding of and military aspect of it, I just use that as an example.
Yeah.
So but it also means we don't need to fight and squalor or argue over this stuff. We're literally there's literally billions of universes all happening at every one time.
Yeah.
You know, yours is happening alongside mine, and then when we're together, we co-create cool shit as well. So
Yeah.
like when we're on the rooftop in Portugal with the five of us, you know, the night before our ceremony, like that we had what 20 shooting stars or something crazy like that, and they weren't even small; they were massive. And like, so we were co-creating that experience because of the field we were creating and the energy signature, like monumental.
Yeah. I mean, talking about that one, AJ, I mean, so there was five of us. You were all connected, through various ways on different platforms or whatever. And you and I have kind of been in touch for like 4 or 5 years, but
Mm,
we'd never met. Um, so yeah, and it was something that you'd set up this ceremony with staying at a great place with absolutely fantastic energy. And because it's only a 4 hour drive for me, so I drove over, and the four of you guys all flew over from different places in the UK, and we're all there. And like you say, we all just connected straight away. It was real familiarity. But that evening, the evening before the ceremony, like you say, we all went up on the roof, just a few blankets down and just laid there looking at the stars. And when you get five people having the same experience, five strangers fundamentally is the way I live my life and the way you live your life. You're like, this is no coincidence. This is absolute
mm,
divine synchronicity. Us five were always meant to meet like this. And, even got to the stage on that first night, we were like, we know each other.
hmm.
We're just reconnecting in this life. We know we are. And all five people, when you get all five people feeling that, there's something in that. Of course, there's other people outside the circle might go, oh no, these are the chances of this happening. That's absolutely fine. We don't need those explanations. We know what we believe. And like you say, the next day we all spent just hanging around together and setting our intentions for the ceremony. We all had profound experiences on the ceremony. And it was even more confirmation of like, yeah, so we all got our own answers, doing the plant medicine, and it was very intelligent plant medicine. And you can get answers to things. There's a lot of purging. There's a lot of getting things out. I think I heard from somebody that it's basically 30 years of therapy in one go.
Mm.
It's because it just
Oh
gives
yeah.
you everything that you need. Um, one of the things for me, with the purging was my purging came out my back end. And it was, I spent a lot of time on the toilet, but I spoke to one of the guys the next day, and he said, yeah, he goes, you've got to clear the house out before you move into the higher realms.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I had, like we all did, I wasn't able to take notes. I was just fully engaged in it, but I got all the answers that I need.
Mm.
Um, and one of the things, exactly the same as what you said, no doubt, was exactly the same thing for me. You're right. It's what you believe is correct. Don't let anything else. Look at the way you live in your life. Look at the way that your life is going really well for you. You don't need anyone coming in and going, oh, well, it's not this, it's not that. No, no. Surround yourself with like-minded people. And that was a beautiful experience, AJ. It was absolutely amazing. And that's something that I'd recommend to people. Um, Maybe they don't have to do anything plant medicine, but just getting together with like-minded people and just
Yeah.
raising your own vibration and your own frequency and going, actually, there are people out there like me, aren't there?
Mm.
It's not everyone's queuing up for the next jab. Not everyone's sending money to Ukraine. Not everyone's falling for it all. There are some quite awake people that are quite beautiful souls.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely, man.
oh, that was
And
amazing. That experience,
yeah,
amazing.
and it's why like I just love doing what I do, whether it's the events that I'm doing and people all coming together. We've got a summer party in the solstice party on 22nd of June in the Peak District, and I encourage everyone to come along, and like the energy will just be off the scale.
Yeah,
Um, and likewise, obviously with the retreat, so that won't be the last one I do for Portugal. I'm going to plan one for like early September,
yeah,
but also yearly Costa Rica, which I'm off to soon myself.
yeah, yeah,
And probably things like Bali, Thailand, and UK as well, because UK is like the most powerful land in the world, and there's one thing I'm trying to show people at the minute is there's a reason why it's been kept so dense. It's because it's so powerful. So it's showing and teaching people how to reconnect with the land, and as we kind of open up into like the powers from within ourselves, as that just gets bigger and bigger on every day. But yeah, that experience was something else, and like, and another thing that people are struggling with at the minute is the whole connection with blood family, and a lot of stuff's coming to the surface now, and it did for me. And the plant medicine really helped me like navigate that and cut cords from like guilt and stuff, from needing to keep all the family together, or always being the one trying and stuff like that. Actually, I'm just we just don't resonate. We're just on different frequencies. Like my family is like my soul family, like you guys and all the people I meet all the time. And
Yeah,
one of my good friends said to me the other day, um, we were talking about our very similar childhoods and upbringings and our connection to like blood family and stuff. And she said that her mother said to her like, "Oh, when are you gonna actually settle down somewhere and call somewhere home?" Because she's a bit of a free spirit. She kind of moves around everywhere. And she said, she said, never. She goes, "My people is my home." And I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow, that literally like resonant, like rung like a bell. And it's the same for me, like I'm always moving around places and going places, and it's because actually my people are my home.
yeah,
And that's why we do what we do, and why I've never been able to settle anywhere or call anywhere home. And I'm sure there's loads of people that really resonate with that. It's because we're not from a fixed abode. Uh,
yeah.
we're much bigger than that, and it's just a case of then stepping into that and then embodying that of what you actually, who you actually are, moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one about family. Um, you've obviously got your blood family. That that's fact. But I think the word family is a bit loosely used. Like you say, your family are people that a soul family are people that get you, that want the very, very best for you, that love you, and you love them. It's an unconditional thing. And when people open their mouth and talk, like you and I are, they aren't sitting there raising their eyebrows, going, "Oh God, what a load of nonsense." That's your true family. And you're lucky if you've got members in your blood family that are looking at this and going, "Oh yeah, 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 I understand the way that Darren and AJ are talking." Anyone that's looking at this and going, "Wow, what a load of nonsense," that's absolutely fine. That's your perspective. That's your
Mm,
view. And you may have members of your own family doing that as well. And that's just something that we just accept, AJ.
mm,
That's just how it is. It's, there's all sorts of different things, isn't there? There's past life experiences, whether we all arrange to meet in this life or our soul family always come into our lives in our past lives. But again, that's just another different belief system.
mm,
I think there's a very simple way of doing it is there's, I think people can ask themselves, do I believe in life after death? Do I believe that when I die, that's the end of it for me? And if you do, that's absolutely fine. But those that don't, you're awake. That's part of being awake because, of course, we don't die. That was one of the things that I was shown. It's so when I spoke about the experience of me being the orb, me being that ball of light, me being my true essence that never ever dies. I didn't have a body. I didn't have the Darren skeleton, meat structure, mind. I didn't have that. I was just my original orb,
mm,
my original being, my original source, my isness, truth, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It's That's what we are. So I have no doubt about reincarnation. I died.
mm,
It's And the other thing as well that I will tell that I've said to people, it's very much like being asleep. That's what it is. You don't go anywhere. When you sleep, you don't go anywhere. It's all in your head. It's all memories. You can dream that you went to India, or you can dream that you had a car crash. You weren't. You were still laid in your bed asleep.
mm,
That's what it is. It's very, very much like that. It's so when you're sleeping, you're not in control. It's the unconscious. It's the subconscious. There's nothing to be scared of. There really isn't anything to be worried about. And again, this is just my experience. You're going to have other people with their experiences, and there might be people that just want to go, "Oh, what a load of nonsense." That's fine. I now live in my truth and my reality. And fundamentally, I'm not involved in anything. I'm not doing any harm to anybody. I'm just further enlightening myself. And there's people, friends, and some family coming on the journey with me. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I think that's something that people can ask themselves. Do I think there's more to it when we die? Yeah. Okay, so still look into it,
mm-hmm.
examine it, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
It's
and it'll change your perspective on how you actually live your life going forward. So you won't be manifesting your death. So you won't be going like, "Oh, I'm 40, so now I'm middle aged because the government told me that the average age is 80."
Yeah.
So you start manifesting your death over the next 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, you literally change your whole perspective on how you live your life. So when I turned 40, you know, people are, oh, how do you feel being middle-aged? I was like, go find someone who thinks they're middle-aged
Yeah.
and ask them. So that's exactly how I live my life now. You know, like I just live it again. It's no doubt just purpose,
Yeah.
and that's how we all should be. You know, moving into those like ways of thinking, really, away from like the hive mind, away from the program mind, away from, you know, the collective mind of we need to get instruction from out, you know, external sources to do anything with our lives. But you know, I've seen a massive increase in it. It's huge. You know, I've only got to look at like the DMs I get now compared to like a year ago. You know,
Yeah.
I've only got to look at like the experiences people are having in my at my events, which are like phenomenal. You know, compared to 6 months ago. You know, but bless her, we had this lovely girl at my event on Sunday in Brockenhurst. And bless her, she'd had a couple of shots like a while back, but then just knew that they hadn't affected her. She'd already set that intention of like she was powerful.
Yeah.
She did the detox protocol workshop with me and Farah, and then she came to my event, and then she said when I took her up to the astral, she literally had a triple helix go up her spine like that, and a big kind of explosion as she went into this white cosmos, and she had these big angel wings on her back. Like, so that just tells you straight away, like she's not been affected by any of these shots and stuff like that. And it's just beautiful that people have gone from that narrative full circle all the way through to then experiencing that at one of my events, surrounded by other people having amazing experiences. You
Yeah.
know, my daughter was there at my event, and her light language was coming on, and she was all doing all like things with her hands, and she'd never, you know, I'm seeing it. My daughter, my 15-year-old, nearly 16-year-old daughter, like things coming out of her now and
Yeah.
being expressed, and get excited about it, ladies and gents, like because like you're powerful as fuck, right? You know what I mean? And we just I guess here in this moment now, just trying to really express that um, from both our perspectives as two guys, two ex-military guys that have gone completely full circle and just chill out up on rooftops, like, you know, chatting to our galactic brothers and sisters. Like, what more do you want to do?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, though. That's it. And the thing is, none of us that were doing it, or you and I, don't feel silly. We don't feel, because there is no one can judge us. There's no one's living your life, and nobody's living my life.
Mm,
It's as simple as that. And the path that we're on, you know, awakened souls or whatever we're trying to do, we're just trying to understand it, and we're just trying to live from our hearts and live with love and live the right way.
hmm
That's fundamentally all it is. Now, how anyone could have a problem with that, if you don't like it, turn off. It's really that simple. But you know, and I know, AJ, there's a lot of people just on that cusp of, okay, what do I do next? So hopefully, hearing this conversation,
mm,
they might go, I'm out. Do you know what? I'm going to look into this, or I'm going to look into that, and because it's resonating within my gut.
mm,
I really hope there's, you know, somebody's watching this and they go, I'm feeling this,
hmm
you know, because there's great energy between you and IJ and AJ. There always has been. It's because we're not doing what we used to do in the military and try and outdo each other and go, oh yeah, I've done this and I've done that. It's like, I'm listening to your story, you're listening to mine.
hmm
And that's basically where the ego has gone.
hmm
It's like, you know, I just see my soul brother. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and we can do it. It's when you connect with other people, you know, we've got soul sisters and other soul brothers, and it's just having that belief system.
hmm
It's, you know, we can still get on in 3D real life when we need to. We're not mugs, we're not fools, we're wise men. We've still got that masculinity if it's ever needed. But the other thing that I think is really important that we have done is you and I have both connected with the divine feminine.
Yes.
That's really, really, you know, you look back in your life, and, you know, the military at that particular time was very masculine dominated when you and I were both in. There wasn't ladies or women serving in the armed forces, or didn't go on ships, put it this way, when I was on there.
Mm,
And it was very masculine. It wasn't great. But the thing is, what you and I haven't done is then gone, no, this defines me for life. I'm always going to be that type of guy. I want to
mm,
get down the pub. I'm going to read the Sun newspaper. Going to go down the football match and, like you say, you know, have a go at people I don't even know. No, because we can see it. It's all division. When you get rid of the division, and when you just see that other person in front of you, we're just connected.
hmm
Don't look for division,
Yeah.
because it's the media and it's the programs and everything to tell you to look for division. You know, all of this. Have you got your Ukraine flag on your profile? Have you got the I've been jabbed 20 times? Have you got this? Stop it. Don't grow a mustache in November for Movember because they've told you to. Don't have a dry January because they've told you to. Once you start seeing all these things, you go, hang about, am I living for me? So yeah, again, it's just like we say, Jay, just surround yourself with like-minded people, people that get you, people that can have these conversations. I think that's really, really important. And the other thing as well that I would like to say that, you know, if there's anyone, I know you've got a lot of people follow you and they listen to what you say and things like that. But if there's anybody listening or watching, I'm sure you provide the details, my details there. If anyone wants to contact me and know a little bit about my story or a little bit more, if I can help in any way, because I think fundamentally that's a thing. We realize that that's what we're here. We're not here to wake people up. We're here to help people that want to ask for help. Because the life that I'm living and the life that you're living is nothing that other people can't live.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. So like I say, if I can help anyone in any way, then please reach out. I don't know what I would do to help, but even if it's just a conversation like this, but yeah, the offer's there, AJ. Yeah. So
no,
yeah.
absolutely, bro. And I encourage anybody out there who's kind of in that position where they're like souls almost like on the outer layers of their body, just screaming forward, like, oh, there's so much more to this, and like I just don't know what my path is or the trajectory I'm supposed to go on. You're feeling that for a reason. So like listen to that. That's your intuition saying like, come on, like you're more than this 9 to 5 job that you hate and doing the same repetitive things and cycles over and over again. And I think with everything collapsing around the entire country and around the world in terms of all these different elements that keep us in these controlled environments, you know, like the finance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, big food, big tech, all that kind of stuff, because that's all collapsing. People are like, I don't want to be in this world anymore. So that's how we co-create New Earth, is by stepping forward. And, you know, your role is on the other side of that. So yeah, keep stepping forward, ladies and gents. Keep doing that inner work. Keep turning the lens inwards, and you'll come out the other side like absolutely flourishing, doing and well, living life how you're supposed to live life. So all the stuff I do, I always say it's not a job to me because it's like I'm literally living my life how I should be. I'm literally just on mission all the time, like, and which is great. You know, I absolutely love it, and the people I come across and meet on a daily basis and speak to, and the experiences I have, you know, far outweigh anything that I've ever experienced before. And it's not a one stool. It's like you just got to like start leaning more towards that direction of what you want to really achieve in this life. Um, but yeah, bro, thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, I absolutely love it. I could listen to it over and over again. And I'm sure many people at home who are watching and listening will get this huge sense of appreciation and resonance with what you shared today. So thank you, you know, very much for coming on the show, my man.
Oh no, thank you, AJ, and yeah, really appreciate it. And yeah, anyone listening, you know, even if there's one guy sitting there going, hang about, maybe I can tap into my feminine, you know, divine feminine. Maybe I can just see things a little bit differently. Maybe I won't go at the match. Maybe I'm not going to go down the pub tonight. Maybe I'm going to watch one of your videos, or maybe I'm going to find a meditation circle. The key thing is you're here. I won't say once. I believe we're in this version of ourselves once, and we're here to have fun. We're not here to be suppressed. We're not here to be told this and told that, and just turn it all off. Turn it all off and look outside. Go for a nice walk, get in fresh air, go hug a tree, go do whatever. Be you. Go back to your inner child where you didn't really care what anyone thought. Just give it a try. You might like it. You know, it might be the place that you want to stay. So yeah, thanks, AJ. I really appreciate it. And thanks to anyone watching or listening.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And brilliantly said. Guys and girls, if you enjoyed today's episode, which I'm very sure you would do, and have taken a lot from it, please, you know, reach out if you need to, and just keep connecting with like-minded souls around you know, just all around the world. Get yourself out there, get yourself into groups, get yourself connecting, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're all supposed to be connecting with each other, and that's the purpose of my podcast and the purpose of the events and purpose of the courses is to keep connecting people. So just keep doing that, and you know your authentic self, you know, lies on the other side of that. So keep doing the work. But for me and Daz, like, enjoy yourself, look after yourself, have fun, all right, and live your life the way you're supposed to live your life. And I'll see you again once again soon on the AJ Roberts Show. Much love.